Hello friends, today I'm doing another VR and I'm so excited. I came across this one just yesterday, I think the day it came out, and it's one of those ones that I could not wait to participate. I'm so excited. So it is Tarot Magpies, 12 houses, 12 decks. Tarot tag. So basically you go through the astrology houses and you pair a deck with each house based on what that house represents. So houses are something I can never remember what they are. I never remember what they stand for. So this is a super fun one. And I'm going to be using my cards to keep track like Tarot Magpie did. She used the Heavenly Bodies Astrology Oracle. I am using the Numinous Astro Oracle for my little helper bees. So let's get started right away with the first prompt for House 1. So self-identity and first impressions, a deck you'd use for readings about your self-identity or a deck you feel represents you in some way. So my deck for this prompt is the Badass Tarot. So this one, it's in my current rotation because, well, Aquarius season just ended, but I use this deck in the month of February because it's an Aquarius deck. It's very rebellious. So we're going to be seeing a lot of this in the next couple of videos, but this deck 100% I feel represents me in some way, because I do feel like it gives Aquarius energy 100%. Like I said, the rebellious nature of it. And it's just a little different. It's a little out there. And I think Aquarius can be a little different and a little out there. And that's why I always use this deck in February, for the month of February, around my birthday time especially. Also super fun to use with friends, a certain group of friends that can handle some of the imagery. But this is... didn't even have to think about this one. Absolutely did not have to think about this deck for the first prompt, for the first house. So that is prompt number 1. Prompt number 2, personal resources. So here we have house number 2. Almost forgot about my cards. So a deck that helps you reflect on abundance or money matters, or one that feels like an investment, either financially or for its impact on your practice. For me, we're going with the end part of that one, for its impact on your practice. That's the Saint Soleil Beginner's Tarot. This is another one that's been featured heavily on my channel. This one, the reason why it stands out for its impact on my practice was because it was one of the ones that really helped me learn with the upright and reversed keywords. And it's stunning. I really feel connected to this deck. It's one that helped me in my learning journey, and it's stunning to look at with the gold foiling, gold gilding, whatever it's called. It's a favorite. It gets used all the time. Last year it got used a lot because I had the Saint Soleil Celestial Journal, so it was really easy to work with alongside. So that is house number 2 and prompt number 2. Third house, communication and learning, a conversational deck that's easy to read or that you would recommend to tarot beginners. This one, I'm sorry, I had to do it. Lightseers. I just think that this one is great for beginners and also easy to read for beginners. So I edged mine, kind of goes. Yeah, had to do it. I'm sorry. I know this is kind of probably cliche for this prompt, but I think it's a good beginner deck, and it's something that's a little different from the traditional RWS, but you still get those RWS intuitive hits and the RWS storytelling in the images. The color palette, I think, is appeasing to a lot of people. Not everyone, of course, but I definitely think it's something that is appeasing to a lot of people, and there's a reason why this deck is so popular and it's out there so much and it's in so many videos. love it or hate it, here it is. If a beginner was coming to me, I would say, check out the Lightseers. See if that is your cup of tea. All right, fourth house, home and roots. A deck that feels like home and gives you a sense of safety, security, or nostalgia, or a deck that you use for readings about things happening in your home. Okay, this is one, I had to think about this one for a minute. We're going to go with an oracle here. We're going to go with the Animal Spirit Oracle by the Wild Unknown. And we're going with this one for the nostalgia vibes. Every time I think about this deck, I look at this deck, I remember using it with my friends. We were at someone's cottage and I was very, very new to my Oracle and Tarot journey. I started with Oracle, so I'm not even sure I started reading Tarot when this particular memory that I'm talking about happened. But we were reading the cards, and I mean, this probably wasn't a good choice because there's no keywords, so I was constantly having to go to the guidebook, but tears happened. There were some readings that definitely resonated. We did just a traditional past, present, future with this, and it was so great. And it's one of my favorite memories of reading with my friends, reading for other people. It was crazy. It was one of those great moments. So this is definitely one for nostalgia. Maybe a little safety and security because, you know, it's with my friends and we were having a good time. And it's just, that's a safe place for me. Prompt number 5 for house number 5, creativity and play. A deck that perfectly expresses how you feel or one that's just fun to use when you want to play with your cards. This was another no-brainer. The Tarot del Fuego. This deck feels good. I like the cardstock, the Fournier cardstock. I like the size of it. It's not as big. I don't think this is a traditional size, so I won't compare it to that, but it's such a good shuffler. It feels good. This is one of those ones that I could just sit and shuffle while I was watching TV. It just feels luxurious to me. It's so satisfying. And talk about creativity and play. Perfect. The colors are so fun and so vibrant. It's quirky. I think it is playful. I think playful is a good term for this deck. Now, a keyword on here is parties. I don't think I would use this at parties. I don't think I would use this deck for reading for many people because it can be a little bloody. There's some weird things happening. That's supposed to be his self-portrait, Ricardo Cavolo, apparently. I don't know that he's ever actually confirmed it, but I'm pretty sure it's out there that that's supposed to be a self-portrait. Anywho, back to the deck. A little bit of humor. We have humor in the 5th house. I think this can be a little funny. Oh my gosh, what is even happening? I think it can be a little funny. It's just an oddball, fun, creative little deck. So it was another no-brainer for prompt number 5 for that 5th house. For the 6th house, we have daily habits, systems, and routines, a deck you use regularly in your practice or a deck that you use for readings about practical matters. So this one, I just had to do it. I just had to go with an RWS. It's practical. And when I need to strip things down and just have a practical reading, I need an RWS clone. I don't love the RWS, which is why I chose this one by Dark Forest on Etsy. I keep it in this zippy pouch that I got off Amazon because it's plastic and it's a good one to take places, especially if you're reading with friends around a pool, for example. So obviously those are the backs. It's quite a thick boy. It does bite a little in the finger pits there, but I didn't want to show just the regular old RWS because I don't love it. So we're going with this one. So this is absolutely a practical deck for me. Also practical in the sense that it's plastic. It's durable. It is sturdy. You can spill your bevies on here. You can drop it in the pool. I don't know if I would do that, but still. So another prompt here is daily rituals. So I think a lot of us probably started with an RWS, and we started with those 1 card a day, learning the cards. Another one is skills, honing in on those tarot skills. I definitely use the RWS plaid back to learn tarot and build those skills. You could say it's my 8 of Pentacles deck. So that's the deck I chose for the 6th house prompt. And now we have the 7th house, partnerships and contracts, a deck you feel deeply connected to or one that you use for readings that involve other people. Here for this prompt, I chose the Lillifer Tarot. This is the deeply connected to side of things. So I have the gold gilded version from Kickstarter. This deck surprised me big time. I was not expecting to connect to this deck in the way that I did at all. And I do feel a little special connection with this deck. This is my little guy. That's how I would describe it. And companionship, definitely a companion. Best friends, he is a buddy. He is absolutely a buddy. And it's a really good communicator for me. It really does give me the best readings. It's probably one of my top 3 readers as far as accuracy and telling me what I need to hear. And it's not mean. It just tells me what I need to hear. It's very affirming, actually. That's probably a better description. It's a very affirming deck for me. So that is my prompt for the 7th house. Now we have the 8th house, transformation and secrets to be uncovered. A deck that you use for shadow work and things you want to bring to the surface, or one that feels like magic. For this one, I chose the Marigold Tarot. So this is another, it's linen cardstock, so it's a great shuffler. It feels really good to shuffle. It sounds really good too. But it's not as small as the Tarot del Fuego. Okay, so 8th house, transformation and secrets to be uncovered, yes, but also it's kind of like the taboo. So for me, I just felt a lot of people, when they see skeletons, they shy away from it. They don't, it feels grotesque. It feels a little taboo. So there's that aspect to this prompt, but also I definitely would use this deck for shadow work, just with the dark nature of this deck, both in the color palette and with the skeletons. It's a little macabre. So I think it's a perfect fit for me for the 8th house and all the things that go along with this prompt. It also kind of a little bit feels like magic. Not too much, not over the top, but just the plant influence. And it's, I don't know, I think it's the color palette as well. Something about it feels a tinge magical. So that's the Marigold Tarot for house number 8. House number 9, exploration and worldview. A deck that has expanded your perspective on the tarot, or one that you use for spiritual or philosophical questions. This one I struggled with a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But I got there. I guess I should show you the box. We have the Threads of Fate. I have the Shadow Edition. It's so gorgeous. Oh. Okay. Why did I choose this one? This deck has a spiritual feeling to me. We can't even see the cards. Okay, we'll have to do this. It has a spiritual feeling. Even the way the guidebook reads, it does seem a little ethereal to me. The imagery seems ethereal. I wouldn't call myself a spiritual person, but this is the deck that snagged my attention finally after thinking about it and going over my list of decks. This is the one that got me for this prompt. Oh my God. There's just something a little, not necessarily spiritual, but ethereal, I think. And the guidebook, let's have a peek if I can find what I just did with it. The guidebook reads in a way that is spiritual. I don't know how to explain it. It gives an animal for each card, it gives a plant for each card, and it gives a crystal for each card. So that seems, especially the crystal portion and the herbal portion, seems a little spiritual to me. I don't know, guys. It was the one that I was able to go to for this prompt. Like we even have a wand. Oh, it's stunning. I absolutely love this deck. It's that rose petal finish, so when you try to grab just one card, it is a little tricky. That's the only thing I would say I don't love about it. But I mean, as like for a tactile perspective, it does feel nice. Practical, not so great. So that's my 9th house deck. 10th house. We have recognition and reputation, a deck that you trust to get it right when you're looking for guidance, or one that defines your tarot style, a deck that people associate with you. This one, I struggled big time. I do have a deck that I look for when I want to get it right, but it didn't feel right for this prompt for some reason. I'm not sure why, but if we look at our little keyword card here, we have career. So 10th house, career is a big part of the 10th house. So I switched my way of thinking for this one. So we're going to go with my career deck. Now, I used air quotes there because it's not necessarily a deck that I use for career readings. We have the Sasrabido Traveler Edition. This is another good one that feels good to shuffle. Just similar to the Tarot del Fuego, but a little smaller. It has a weird texture to it as well. It's definitely a different deck. Okay, back to what I was saying. This is the deck that sits on my at-home office desk. So anytime I'm doing a reading when I'm sitting at that desk, this is the deck that gets used, and it's therefore associated with career for me. A lot of times, you know, I will use this deck for work-related stuff, not necessarily like future career or anything like that, but day-to-day career stuff because it is on my desk. So if I'm looking to prioritize certain tasks or how to handle a certain task or how to get out of a funk at work, the Sasrabido is right there, right next to my monitor, and this is the one I use. So for that reason, I have chosen to associate this deck with the 10th house, even though it doesn't really work with the prompts that Tarot Magpie created. 10th house is career, and here we go. There's my word association for this deck. Career, Sasrabido, next to the monitor. So that is my 10th house deck. 11th house, we are almost at the end. 11th house. So the prompt is community and collaboration, a deck that you use for readings about activism and collective energy, or one that reflects a wider network you are a part of. This was a huge struggle for me. I'm a lone wolf. I don't do readings about activism. Collective energy, don't really resonate with that. A wider network that I'm a part of, nope. But I did come up with something. It dawned on me when I was going through my list of decks. The Santa Muerte, I have the pocket edition. So, Santa Muerte is special to me. I have traveled to Tucson, Arizona, a couple of times, specifically for the Day of the Dead celebration. I can't remember. I think it was the first year I went was the year that my father had passed away. So the Day of the Dead celebration is honoring the people who have died, specifically in the last 365 days, but also over time. So there is a stunning parade, and there's performers and all kinds of stuff, but a lot of people dress up and walk the parade. You don't need permission to do it. You just walk, and people hold signs of their loved ones, photos of their loved ones, even their pets. It is such an emotional experience, but it's also has a very celebratory energy to it. And I'm so glad I was able to do it within the 365 days that my dad passed away. This particular year, they had a huge projector, and you could submit a photo of your loved one and it would be projected on the side of an apartment building. So we got to see my dad's face projected huge on the side of an apartment building. It was like probably a 10 or 11, if not higher story building. It was massive. So actually probably higher now that I think about it. It was quite the experience. And this to me does feel like a community, especially when you're there with these people who are all grieving and celebrating as well. I can't explain it. And it is beautiful. People go all out when they dress up. They go all out with their handmade floats or their signs, their posters, their photos, any way for them to celebrate their loved ones. It is something. And I've been another time after that, and it's just as overwhelming, and I don't have words. So I kind of feel like a sense of community with that, and a collective energy as well with the grieving and the celebrating and all that kind of stuff. So this deck, once that thought dawned on me, yes, absolutely. So there we have the the Santa Muerte, starts with an S, I was close, for house number 11. And we have made it to our last house, the 12th house, Secrets and Hidden Depths, a deck you use to work with for your unconscious and understand themes that bring themselves to the surface, or one that feels like it has hidden knowledge. I had to do it again, friends. Sorry. If you know what that is, you're prepared. And if you're not, if you didn't know what that was, now you're really prepared. The Ritual Tarot. I keep this in here because I edged mine in Crayola black and it rubs off on my fingers. Okay. So I do not have the marked version. I love this. I love these backs. I'm so glad I have this version. This, absolutely. Hidden Depths. Yes. A deck to work with the unconscious. Yes. Understand themes that bring themselves to the surface. Yes. Feels like it has hidden knowledge. Also, yes. This deck has been talked about upside down, backwards, all the way around. So we don't need to go crazy with it. It's a heavy reader for me. I find definitely no more than a 3-card pull, if I'm being honest. I try to stick to one and unpack that one card. There's lots going on here, and I find with the readings, especially given the 12th house umbrella that it falls under and the readings that I use it for, yeah, it's spot on. It's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to go through. So I try to keep it to one card, and she is accurate AF. So this was another no-brainer. When I saw this prompt, this was instantly the one that I was going with. So sorry, not sorry, had to do it. And that's it. We are back at house 1 in our card stack. So thank you to Tarot Magpie for creating this lovely VR. Like I said, it was one of those ones where I saw it before I even finished watching Tarot Magpie's video. I knew I was doing it, and the juices were already flowing with which deck I was going to pick for which prompt. So very, very happy. Thank you so much for creating it. And I had so much fun picking out my decks and going through my stacks and figuring out which one worked for me for this VR. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you when I see you.